me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, so I've already been introduced, and I'm so honored to just be before you, my esteemed colleagues, fellow students, to just get to know a little bit of part of my country. So what I'm going to share with you today is a combination of you getting to know a bit of Tanzania and why Tanzania is the powerhouse, as I have termed it. I also want to give shout out. I don't know if my mother is here, but she was going to. And so, and I see my sister Indira is there as well. So thank you so much for your presence here. I'm just so honored. So Tanzania, the Diamond of Africa. That is the title that I've given to my talk, because not only that a lot of the diamond and rubies are coming from Tanzania and Congo, but I think the diamond in Tanzania is a bit different compared to others. So that is what I've titled my talk. And like I've said, I'll talk a little bit about the people, the culture, the economy, geography, and the well-being in general. So let's get started here. So for those of you who do not know where Tanzania is, so it's in the eastern part of Africa. As you can see in the map, it's right here. Can you all see that? It's right there. And this is actually the actual map of Tanzania. Moving quite along, some few facts about Tanzania. So it has 8 neighbors. So it's uniquely located in terms of geography, because it has 8 neighbors. So it has 8 neighbors, and plus it has also Indian Ocean as well. So Tanzania is a part of United Republic of Tanganyika. So there is other part which is in Zanzibar. I'm sure maybe most of you have heard of Zanzibar. It has 28 regions in total. It has 120 tribes. It's a house of Lake Victoria, and I'm sure you have heard of Victoria Falls and what have you. It has a lot of minerals, and I'll talk about those. And also, it has quite a bit of fair amount of different crops for export. So it has a unique coffee, cotton. We always, me and my friends from Colombia, we always tease each other that who has the best coffee, right? Cotton, sisal, cashew, cloves, and that is unique because world supply of cloves, which is coming from Zanzibar, tobacco, tea, and I've talked about diamond, gold, and natural gas. So the lingua franca is Kiswahili. This is the national language of Tanzania, and it's widely spoken and understood by a variety of people in Tanzania. Moving quite along, I want to talk a little bit about the geography, so you get to know a bit about the country. So it had varied geography, including the deep and large freshwater and salt lakes. So it had so many lakes surrounding the country, and also it has many national parks, and it has obviously the Africa highest point, the Mount Kilimanjaro. As you can see, it's 19,341 feet. So it's quite a long, high mountain. In the northeast part of the country, it has mountains, several of them. And so some of them are active volcanic mountain, and some of them are dormant, like Mount Kilimanjaro is dormant. So we always tease, because Tanzania is a tropical country, but we also say that we enjoy winter because of the surrounding area of these mountains is quite cold, actually. So the Mount Kilimanjaro attracts thousands of tourists. And as you can see, as you know, it's the highest freestanding mountain in the world. And the Serengeti is called Africa Leading National Park, and it's been voted several times by the World Travel Awards. I spoke about having quite a bit of minerals. And I do have a sample that I would share with you. So it has like the ruby, the tanzanite, and so this is the tanzanite, and this is the ruby, I believe. And so it has quite, and has diamond. Diamond is being shared by a lot of parts of Africa, but Tanzania is unique, and hence the name. The name Tanzania is because it's only, you can only get in Tanzania, nowhere else in the world. I want to talk about the people in Tanzania. So the people in Tanzania have quite an history of amalgamation of so many people. They originally the Bantu people, and those were the original settlers, and they came from South and West Africa, to the Arabs from Shirazi in Persia and the Oman, also from Portuguese to the Germans and the British. So there's a combination. And so we varied in terms of skin tone from very, very, very fair skin to very, very, very dark skin. So also the country itself has gotten its independence in 1961. So it's one of the young nations, really. I highlighted 3 major ethnic groups that really form uniqueness of Tanzania. Why uniqueness? Because, for example, if you take the Hadzabe, the first group here, which is situated in the northern part of Tanzania, this is purely, it's one of the world pristine community because it doesn't have too much exposure with other communities. And so if they want to have a pure DNAs, to study several diseases and what have you, a lot of scholars, they flock in that place to, get the pure DNA. The Maasai is the second group, and I guess it's being known for being the pastoralist, one of the most endearing pastoralist people in that part of the world. I would say in Africa, actually. We share a little bit with the Kenyans, but the Maasai are known to be the pastoralist from Tanzania. The Makonde are the other ones that are very famous in the intricate ebony. So they do have a lot of ebony carvings, and they're sold so much. And so it's very unique. And I don't know if you can see me. So this is ebony. So it's only, you can only find it in Tanzania, and it's only unique to that tribe. And so they do that, but also they have an intricate way of part of the culture and drawing and unique sort of a fabric for them. So this is it's a drawing which has been used like a different kind of techniques to do it. So it's not an oil paint as such, but it feels like it, but it isn't, and it sort of breaks. So that it's just unique to that part. They also use banana leaves. Have a sample here to do that, and so it's quite unique in that particular tribe. And so they have different kinds, and I because I'm a collector, so they have like a different kind, and they can range in terms of size and length and what have you. So you get something that is as big as whatever, and that can be displayed in museum and what have you. So those are the unique set of tradition groups that in Tanzania. So also so these are few pictures of the Maasai, and they have the uniqueness in terms of how they dress. They have these bright, vibrant colors, and their necklaces, are different. So this is a woman, and this is a guy. This is a male. So it's different. Kind of dressing. The Hadzabe are these ones here, the ones that I talk about, that they're pristine in the pristine community. As you can see, most of us will be watching TV and, getting some leisure that way. But as you can see here, that the kids are having like active lifestyles. They do a lot of games, mindset games. And as you can see, scholars coming to that community to try to collect a lot of samples, a lot of data from there, because it's one of the unique community that is still pristine. See. And I wanted also to talk about other parts of the population, just to show you how we are faring out. So as you can see, the percentage of distribution estimated by age group and what have you. As you can see, like this is the prime. Tanzania is one of the countries that is very young in terms of a population, as you can see, right? So over 40, they're really fairly a good chunk of people. But population-wise, according to the 2012 population and housing census, we have moved from at least 4 times from 12.3 million population to almost 50 million people right now. I also wanted to highlight here. Okay, so Tanzania has been equated as one of the countries that has made the significant cultural, structural and economic reforms and sustain economy, not only because it's a peaceful country, unlike other countries, but it's stable in terms of economic, and as you all know, that it has moved now to the middle income country. So the big chunk of this is the human resources themselves, like the people themselves, and the young people are the ones who are sort of at the height of controlling the economy. Obviously, there's constitution amendments that made together with the country economic blueprint that has really improved the court system and have the investor have confidence in coming and investing in Tanzania. I'm gonna speak about the economy in general, and I did say that we are bigger producer of energy, and as you do know, energy is everything, right? From whatever it is that we're using now to whatever it is that we're thinking be using. So in terms of agriculture, industries, obviously maritime, and call it solars to wind and what have you. I have put a little bit of and I've changed quite a bit on my previous slide, but I wanted just to show how much when we're talking about energy, in terms of energy, how much are we talking about? So only 15% of the population have access to power. Obviously, that's power in terms of electricity, but that has been changed so much so in such a small period of time that the initiative in terms of renewable energy and private sector engaging in renewable energy has like completely has changed the face of the country, whereas the average used to be using 89 kilowatts per year, and now has been doubled. So that is showing how fast the country is moving in terms of economic and energy. I will talk about the pop culture because that's what makes country unique in so many ways. So so we embrace both traditional and modern culture. So in terms of music and what have you. And so because, as I've said earlier, the population itself is amalgamation of so many people from different regions. So we have a quite variety of music, you know, from taarab to pop culture, such as hip hop, to whatever, and so I'm just intrigued by the way all of those come together, and it's quite a pastime. A lot of people from all walk of life and all age group, they celebrate and enjoy music. Obviously, most of the one of the popular music icon is Diamond. I mean, that's his name, but has been in a collaboration with quite a lot of musicians in United States and other parts of Europe. So the tourism industry is what brings a lot of money in Tanzania, and so it has been part of the most, I would say, celebrated part of the community, and it's sort of not community, but the country, that it is one of the thing that makes Tanzania be unique in so many ways, and also being beloved by so many folks. Yes, by in itself, it has hospitable people, but also hospitable spots. And so it's a hub of tourism in so many ways. And so because of that, in 2016, we saw there was a increase kind of tourists in other parts of the continent not being celebrated as much, but that is where it has its peak in Tanzania. So from 2016 to up until now, it has had a lot of tourists, not only for leisure, but also for business. And so when the pandemic hit the world, still people find refuge to come to Tanzania and celebrate and promote tourism there in so many ways. You see, when I'm talking about tourism, also definitely talking about what is happening in Zanzibar. So for those of you who know a little bit of Tanzania, the Zanzibar part is the coastal part, and that's where it's the archipelago of Zanzibar has the cluster of islands with the Swahili civilization, and this has been going on until the mid 20th century. That's when a lot of things has changed a little bit, but you still have that Oriental mystique and exoticism of the country, and also the Zanzibar itself. The name itself, it's evoked the spices in Zanzibar, which is also unique because the only clove and the kind of coral buildings and limestone building and palm trees that can only be found in Zanzibar. So that is stand to be one of the majestic places to visit. It also has some slave caves and colonial graves. They're still there. The ruin of sultans' palaces, they're still there in the plantation. They're still being kept as a historical ruins. In Pemba, where it's part of the archipelago of Zanzibar, we also have like a tradition which also preserve a lot of Swahili culture. The Mafia is considered to be one of the oldest town, if you remember your history lessons, which was abandoned, but is still a survival place, and also being considered as one of the attraction in Tanzania. So these are some of the beaches that, like I've said, in the coastal place, it's all beach. So you could, there's several places and they have different different takes and what have you, but it has been really preserved. And one of the things that I thought that was unique in Tanzania alone, that this is actually, it's a kind of boat, but it's also a hotel, and it's in the ocean. So you can have this, like this can be your place for a month, for a week, for whatever. So it's totally up to you know, to you as a tourist. So I thought that was really really, oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I think it will be unfair to talk about perhaps let me go, maybe I talk about the beaches. I think I should talk about the wildlife a little bit. So the wildlife is part of the whole ensemble of economic powerhouse, because then as we can see, the wildlife is part of the tourist attraction, and some of the wildlife, the fauna, and it's only being found in Tanzania, and the migration of some of animals, it can only be found in Tanzania. Like there are some who migrate at certain time and then they come at certain time, and also the season wise. So in the winter season, for example, they would come in the morning and then they would disappear and then come when the sun sets. So and it's they migrate at the same time, and this is very unique, and it has been like that for years and years. So that is one of the attraction. Also, the Serengeti is also is famous for, like I've said, the migration of the wild beasts and the zebras, and it's very majestic. And I think I have the movie somewhere. I can show a bit of that. So you can see just a little bit taste of it, and then someone cooperate, please. Majestic that is, to see how they migrate and when they do that, which is quite unique in some ways. Oh, maybe it has, but I don't want to.
And to drive outside the forest. Which I don't like. Today it's just there. Special setting. Something, but
yeah, that's it. So part of it is also, you know, you see all that kind of game shows and stuff like that. It's quite unique and very special in so many ways. All right. Yeah. So to conclude, I just want to say that I think it will be unfair to be talking about all the nice, gorgeous places in Tanzania without talking also about the challenges that the country is facing. One of the challenges, like any other developing world, there's the diseases, you know, so high blood pressure, diabetes, and what have you, are becoming very challenging and affecting a large population. And so that is one of the things. And also another thing is also the disparities between those who have and those who do not have, those who can afford to spend the whole of their month in beaches and stuff like that, and those who struggle every day. So those are disparities that you can see that are there. And also the other one is because the country becoming so much economic empowered, there's a lot of investors who do not have, they don't mean well. And so issues of data privacies are challenging because the country is not equipped to deal with all of those challenges that are facing the country at this particular moment, that it wasn't there. So it wasn't meant to be like, for example, in the United States, where the data of, example, the minorities have been preserved. In a country like Tanzania, which is just in its infancy, it's just too much to handle. That's such kind of challenges and what have you. So that is, in fact, part of it. But like I've said earlier, it is the youth that who are running the economy in so many ways and doing so many things. It's unfortunate I couldn't do much of the film, but I had intended to have a little bit of you listen to the aspiration of the youth and what they are aspire to do, but I think we can do in Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. That was for that comprehensive and very engaging presentation and the show and tell. I really, really enjoyed it. I actually plan to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. It's one of the mountains that I plan to hike very soon. And now you've sold me even more, especially with tourism and the coffee. So I'll have to try that. But yeah, like Linda mentioned, we'll now open it up to Q&A portion to the audience. This is a super informal space. So please unmute your mic and ask your question or use the chat, and I'm happy to moderate the questions.
I have a question for Linda. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Linda, thank you for the amazing presentation. I really enjoyed it. Tanzania is the most known country, African country in Africa. So I really know, I thought I really know a lot of about Tanzania, but after this presentation, I figured out that I really know little about Tanzania. So thank you very much about this amazing presentation. Although I was waiting until the end of your presentation to talk about your new president, female president, but you didn't.
Yeah, my few slides I didn't show them. Yes. Iman is, thank you so much, Iman. That was a very well taken comment and question. Yes, Iman is right. We lost the president about a month ago now. And so now we have a new president who is a female president. And so I think to have a female president in this day and age in itself, it shows that the country is very much progressive in so many ways, and not only like having a president, but a president who wear hijab is a female Muslim president. So it's interesting. I talk a little bit about the people in Tanzania, saying that because of this mixture that we have from Arab, from Oman, from whatever it is, religion hasn't been any tension in Tanzania. So we normally, because we have this union with Zanzibar, most of the time when we have the president from Zanzibar, the vice is from Tanzania. And if the president is Muslim, then the vice is Christian. So it has been like that since independence, since 1961. And we have coexisted as such. And so the new president is from Zanzibar, and she is Muslim. And so there we are, because we only had an election last year. So she has 4 years, and then from there, if she want to run again, yeah, she has, I think they have 2 terms. They can do that. So yeah, thank you, man. That was really, yes. A history is made in our eyes. That's good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's super beautiful. Congratulations on that. I noticed that Sydney and Angelica, you both raised your hand. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes, thank you. This presentation was amazing. I had a similar question to Iman about the president, because I was just curious. I was like, oh, I mean, Tanzania is both Muslim and Christian, but dominantly Christian, and now there's a Muslim leader. Like, is there a conflict with that? But you answered that question phenomenally. So I have a different question in regards. So Tanzania has a high albino rate in the country compared to most nations in the world. And I know there has been humanitarian efforts to protect persons who are albino. And I was just curious, like, do you know like the current state of persons who are albino? Is there still a need for humanitarian efforts to protect those persons, or are things better now? Hopefully that question is clear.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Sydney, for that question. I myself, in my other life, I have been so much engaged in the issues of human rights. So I do that. And the issue of albino has been in the forefront of the country, as Sydney has said. I don't know if you do or know who is the albino. So albino are the people who have slight skin, would say, disability. So it's a form of disability whereby they're really they're not white and they're not black, but they are in between there. And it's because of the DNA went wrong somewhere, just like any other disability. And so because it's such it's a small population in terms of minority, but because they're exotic in nature, the cultural value of parts of the culture value, like any other part of Africa, just like the culture of South Africa when AIDS came into being, some men thought that by going out with someone who's virgin, maybe you'll be cured with your AIDS, So that was part of the cultural distortion that was there. So it's a similar way with albinos. So there are some people whom they believe that by killing the albinos and having their part of their body, then they will be rich or whatever it is, And so that has been a violation of human rights, and United Nations and other human rights watchers were very critical of Tanzania and the status of that, because even if it's one is too many, so they documented and they said, oh, it's just pockets and what have you, but there was no good explanation other than the violation of human rights. So that population now is very much protected and is being considered as minority. And as I'm speaking, actually, there is a project in the president's office right now, which is being just shared and chaired with a female albino who are very vocal about their rights and what have you. And actually, that person who is chairing that, I think she's applying in SIA program. So she may be here, God willing, next year. She's applying. I'm helping her to apply for the program. So they are very vocal about their rights and also educating the world on the plight of that. And I think because of that, I think Lupita Nyong'o had made even a movie celebrating the albino as one of the minority and issues of human rights that need to be watched by everyone who is interested or cares about human rights in the world. Yeah, thank you so much, Sydney. That was a very good question.
Linda, I want to provide like a short comment. It's just incredible to see how beautiful your country is, the power of the wildlife, the strong and the color in your culture, and the resilience your people have is so magic to me. And I definitely so honored to have you in my class, like one of the best representation of Africa in our class. Believe me, Linda, know you in person have been one of the most exciting things I have done here at Penn State Law. It's such incredible to have you like one of the best students in our class. So thank you so much. And it's an honor to have you in the class. So Linda, talking, and by the way, now I want to make a safari in Tanzania. So thank you so much. So taking Linda into account those power of your nation and your people, I want to know what is your perspective about the big disparities that Tanzania and so many countries in Africa have. Do you think, Linda, that obey to internal conflicts or that it will be the effects of the colonialisms? Linda, could you provide us more insights about that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Angelica. You made me really teary because it's such an honor to share a space with you and others. Like I always say that I wish people could go to LLM program and just sit and listen. Like it's wealth of information. Angelica, yourself with your sister, you're doing an amazing work in Colombia. I wish there was a space for you guys to share what you're doing. So I am honored too, just to be in your space, Angelica, as well, likewise. So in terms of disparities, I think, Angelica, you and I, we share the passion of human rights. There is a lot to be said about colonial infiltration in the other people who are non-white, right? And whether we like it or not, we are in the phase of imperialism or neocolonialism, if you will, because then the past of fighting over the land between the colonial masters and the local is gone. But what we're experiencing now is another form of colonialism, whereas the people can still be in Europe, but everything that they do in Europe by remote is affecting the people in Africa. And this is so much visible in terms of our culture, in terms of knowing ourselves and be proud of ourselves, etc. So Tanzania, like any other country, non-Western country, we suffer that. Like our music, like like I've tried to share the part of because if you go to Tanzania, and particularly in the big city right now, you won't see part of that cultural or traditional, right? Because it's so somehow erased. All you see is similar to the hip hop, what the people here are doing, what the people here wear, and what have you. So it's disappearing slowly because that's what people want, because they want to belong, because that's what that's the world system is sort of reorienting them towards that. And because of that, we tend to forget that there's something that we have to cling on, because that's what makes us unique, right? So we are forgetting that, and we want to be like them. And so by so doing, we see that the colonialism, it's in there. And because it's there, it also creates this all other sorts of things, so we can talk about globalization, but also it creates disparities, like I've said, between those who have and those who do not have. And once you have those disparities, you are going to have internal conflicts of those who have and those who do not have, because those who do not have, they will attempt to go and steal and do whatever it is. And of course, they want to be welcome in those communities where they are gated and what have you. And so the disparity is there. Like I've ended the conversation saying that there's a big disparity. You see those who have and those who do not have just vividly. You can just see it. Where they go to market is totally different from the supermarket of those who have, the elites. Those who go to, I've also said that the beaches are good and all of that because those people can afford, and others, they work there. They go to the beach not to enjoy, but to go to the beach to work, to clean, to provide services, to do whatever it is, to paint henna and all of that. They do all of that to those who can afford, but themselves, at the end of the day, they go to the shanty towns. And that's why I said it will be so unfair to me to paint this rosy picture of Tanzania without showing you or telling you the kind of things that we suffer from. I talk about the diseases, I talk about lack of water, I talk about, the disparities. So it is very much there. And I'm sure all non-Western countries, we share that. I wish we could have much more, for those of us who have seen the light, much more conversation to think on how can we and perhaps to put other people who are not, like the fact that we have these leaders who are female, perhaps they'll have paradigm shift, and they'll help the community to have a paradigm shift that we can now talk about other things that we never used to talk, or our mothers never used to talk about. So that is where I'm seeing what is happening in Tanzania. And thank you so much, Angelica.
Thank you to you, Linda.
Are there any other questions from the audience? Well, Linda, that was a very beautiful question, and thank you so much to the audience members for asking those remarkable questions. I, again, learned so much about Tanzania, and I actually have a question for you, Linda. I know that a couple of years ago, your government, I think it was your president, pushed back against the Belt and Road Initiative with China's maritime Silk Road ambitions. Has that have any repercussions since then?
Can you rephrase? I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second part.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, since the pushback a few years, I think a couple of years ago, from the Belt and Road Initiative from China, if there's any repercussions with just the infrastructure development from that, or has Tanzania, I guess, prospered on its own because of that pushback?
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for that question. For those who do not know, so Tanzania and China had this very dynamic, entangled relationship, right? So because the founding father of Tanzania was so much into socialism, believed in sharing whatever it is that we have for the betterment of everyone. And so they had a very close relationship with the Mao Zedong at that particular moment. And because of that relationship, they helped each other. And so, for example, in the field, because as you do know, China is the world producer of rice, for example, right? They produce rice in massive. So the Chinese came to teach Tanzania on how to farm, you know, in a large quantity and what have you. And Tanzania provided minerals and diamonds and all over China. And then in return, the Chinese also came and built the railroad, the longest railroad, right? So I did not show some of the, you know, the exotic nature of the country in terms of the roads and skyscraper. I did not show that. I felt like but, you know, so the Chinese provided that quite a bit to Tanzania. And because of that, there was a sort of this unspoken dependency. But as we all know, China have been very successful in doing that in so many parts of Africa, right? But what they didn't do well in Tanzania is when they were trying to build the conditionality of whatever it is that they're doing, then it has to be that way. I think quickly Tanzania pulled the rug. And because of that, we became even players. So whatever it is that is being negotiated at the table, it is being negotiated fairly and squarely. Obviously, there's here and there's issue of one not being fair to the other, which is China most of the time. But I think they've been put on a radar, and of course, they've been called on it. And because of that, I think, unlike other countries in Africa, I think there's a lot of eco negotiation in terms of trade and whatever. And then most of the time, like right now, you see that, you know, some of the, for example, the vivid example is when the COVID rolled out. So as you do know, the China, they did not share the data and what have you, but also they provided a lot of masks, a lot of equipment for testing COVID. And so the previous president said that we want to put China on the map here to see if they're talking the talk. So they, without knowing, using the very same equipment, they took the DNA or sample of the goat, a sample of the papaya, one of the exotic fruit, a sample of a human being, and they put in the lab, and they all tested positive in COVID. And that's when the hell broke loose at that particular moment and say, hey, guys, are you for real? You know, can you really be real? How can you do this? So I think when they're being called on it, and they're being put on the spot, I think they tend to have the equal negotiation power. So for that reason, I would say that I think Tanzania had caught China in their own games, and so now it's sort of even in so many, because they were exposed, because what they did was shitty. And I'm sorry, excuse my French, but what they did wasn't right and wasn't good, and they were called on it. And because of that, things have been a bit dicey, but also for the good, because the whole world now, they know the game that has been being played. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that answer. I know that it's just such a dynamic and complex relationship between China, BRI, and Africa, especially, well, and in Tanzania. So thank you for that answer. And I'll just leave it again to the audience. Are there any other questions before we close up the room?
And did I also address the second part of your question? Did I? Yeah, I did. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I guess that's the conclusion. Is there any last words you'd like to say before we?
I just want to thank all of you for coming and listening and supporting, and your questions and your comment. I just, it's you. I'm so touched. I'm so blessed. I can say that for you guys to come and just be here to listen and engage. Thank you, and God bless you. That is, and also a different kind of rubies. So this is the rubies that we know most of the time are pinkish. So ours is a bit dark continent, dark jewelry, right? Dark stones. And also I promised that I'll share so the gold is a bit different, and maybe I should put in a black thing. So it's a bit different. It's kind of yellowish. So you see that. And last but not least, the diamond. So if you ladies in the room, and including guys, if you really want that, talk well with me and you can have it. And for those who came late, I love traditional paints and what have you. So this is the ebony, and it's only happening and being carved in Tanzania. So you have different kinds. And I did share earlier the tinga tinga. It's called tinga tinga. You can Google that and you can see. So it's like oil paints that is only happening in Tanzania. So that is it. Thank you all, and thank you.